Thank you, everyone. I'd just like to echo the comments of my fellow candidates this evening in recognising what an important part of the democratic process these forums are, and I thank all of you in the audience particularly for coming out tonight to be part of this process. We were invited tonight to consider our visions for Toowoomba, and as such I'd like to talk to you about three things. Where we are, where we're going, and what my personal stake is in all of this, not just as a political candidate, but as an individual. So I'll just start by telling you a little bit more about myself. As Jeff said, I grew up in a small town where the local major industries were agriculture, specifically the growing of wool and viticulture, and mining, coal mining. So I've seen the effects of these industries on local communities and what happens when the tension between them is upset by various factors. And so I'm very sensitive to the effects of those things on the whole of Queensland, and particularly Toowoomba and the Darling Downs. I moved up here, I've lived my entire adult life in Toowoomba. I work for a local family business, engineering and manufacturing firm that constructs conservation farming equipment for agriculture. And I feel like I have a fairly good understanding of the small business environment in this town, as doing business up here as we have for 2 decades or more. So I want to talk a bit about Toowoomba tonight, and I want to talk about things that I'm sure as members of the Chamber of Commerce you do understand and appreciate, which is just the simple economic data concerning the health of our local economy. For a population of 160,000 people in the local government area, which covers both Toowoomba North and Toowoomba South and some surrounding state electorates, because it is important to realise that despite the divide of electorate lines, decisions for the Toowoomba area have to be inclusive of the entire Darling Downs. Unemployment in this area is actually at 4.2% as of the last assessment, the last financial quarter, which is well below the state average, and it's been as low as 2.5% over the last few years. The major industries by size of employment are in fact healthcare and social services, followed by manufacturing, retail, education and training, construction, and then agriculture. But agriculture is the driving force of our local economy. It's one of the largest agricultural areas in the state. In the last census, the local government area produced $663 million worth of gross agricultural product, which represents 7.6% of the entire state's development. And a total of the 25% of the state's livestock products was produced in the Toowoomba and Darling Downs area. And small businesses make up 96% of Toowoomba businesses. So the needs of the small business community, and particularly the agricultural small business community, are paramount for the health of the local economy. And I feel in the sense that I'm very well prepared for that. And I know that what small businesses, particularly in the manufacturing sector, are concerned about are things like the impact of the price of the Australian dollar on the import of steel, accessibility to labour, skilled labour, factors like this. One of the other things that's evident in the economic data surrounding Toowoomba is the fact that this is a family city. There's over 20,000 families in Toowoomba with children, including single parent families. There's over 100 early childhood centres, daycares and kindergartens in the local government area, and 90 schools between here and Dalby and South Toowoomba. That's a huge, huge consideration for the children of this state. All of these institutions are beneficiaries of state government money. The home ownership dream is well and truly alive in Toowoomba. Residential building approvals at the end of September 2011 last year were worth over $170 million. And 2/3 of residents in this town are either owning their own home or working to own their own home. This translates into a heavy focus on education. Half the people in Toowoomba over the age of 15 have a post-school qualification. And over 4% of all of Queensland's vocational education and training students reside in the local area, which is a phenomenal statement about the preparedness of the local area to adopt increasing labour demands in years to come. The local community is beneficiary of 14 police stations, 11 fire stations, 9 hospitals and 9 ambulance stations. For the 6,500 people who live in need of permanent, profound or severe disability assistance in the area, there is an extensive local healthcare and support network with recurrent government state funding. There's almost 50 aged care service providers, a total of nearly 2,000 places, receiving nearly $60 million of state government funding every year. The flip side of this picture is that in some ways the local economy is fragile. Almost half of the people who live in the Toowoomba local government area are in the lowest 2 quintiles on the socio-economic index of disadvantage, which measures factors such as education level, earning capacity, unemployment, things like that. This is in excess of the state average. And almost 40% of people who live and work in the local area earn less than $400 a week gross, which is not really evident when you see the prosperity of so many people. But the essential goodness of the community is also very evident when you look at the picture of Toowoomba from the perspective of economic indicators. Almost a quarter of all people in the area are listed as volunteers, who are happy to band together and support the community. That's 4.4% of all the volunteers in the state of Queensland in our local community. When people are needy, the Toowoomba residents understand the need to get together and respond with phenomenal community spirit. And indeed, Toowoomba is a fantastic place to do business, along with the rest of Queensland. The Pitcher Partners State Tax Review indicated that Queensland is far and away the leader in the cost of doing business in Australia. We are the cheapest state in Australia to do business for small businesses, by miles. For a business with a $1.1 million payroll, including super, that's $15,000, $620 a year for work cover on average, which is the second cheapest in the country behind Victoria, and well and truly ahead of the third place, which is Western Australia. $4,750 in payroll tax, which is almost 5 times cheaper than the payroll tax levied on a small business with the same payroll in other states in Australia. And indeed, in land tax and other duties, about 11% cheaper across the board than any other state in Australia. So with all that in mind, if we consider the state of the current state economy, things look pretty good. Contrary to the number that gets noised about, the actual state net debt at 30th of June 2012 this year will be in the vicinity of $25 billion. And interest repayments on this are less than 1% of total government revenue. State economic growth is about 4.25%, projected to rise to 5%. Unemployment is steady at about 5%, which is far below the OECD average. Growth in private investment nationwide is about 80% at the end of September last year. $450 billion, over a third of which was invested in Queensland. Business confidence is returning thanks to the incredible management of this damaged economy after the financial crisis shown by Anna Bligh, her team, and the state Labor government. So Queensland is poised to enter a period of almost unprecedented economic prosperity, and the fundamental question for the next state government is the responsible stewardship of the state, ensuring that each Queenslander gets a fair share of the spoon, guaranteeing that no one misses out, and that we are adequately prepared with an innovative and highly skilled workforce to transition into a post-mineral resources economy in years to come. So for me, my personal investment in this is that I'm to be married 7 months almost to the day from today. And my fiancée and I will be settling in Toowoomba to raise a family. I want my kids to have what I'm sure everyone wants their kids to have, what I got, but only better. So I want to see the responsible management of the state government continue. I want to see continued investment in schools and education with things like the Mines to Mines Trust. I want to see our environmental resources preserved. Thank you.